I've known John since probably the 60s when we played football together under the tutelage of guys like Dave Thiel and iconic Tex Flannery. Back then, I knew John as a great student, great athlete, good friend, and a real leader. After that, I know John went to Notre Dame, then came back, got to law school, started his family, but never left LaSalle. He was president of the LaSalle Alumni Association, Fathers Club, an esteemed and respected member of the Board of Trustees. The only one thing that he really messed up on was he put his hat in to be president and was declined from the LaSalle Mothers Club. That's unfortunate. Rules are rules. But on the other side of the story, seriously, I have been lucky enough to witness vast majority of the guys who have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Their names and their images are on that wall in school. And believe me, there's not one person there that is more worthy and deserving of being in the Hall of Fame.
John's a member of the class of 1968, and arguably he will say that was the best graduating class in the history of LaSalle College High School, based on the way he treats his fellow members of the class and what they talk about whenever they get together, which is frequently. They're probably right. If not the best, it's in the top 5%, and especially their loyalty. And nobody is more loyal, I don't think, to LaSalle College High School than John Fenningham.
As a person, he's a kind-hearted and thoughtful person, and he treats people with respect all the time. He's a person that adds value to your life. You know, sometimes you spend time with people and you feel a little worse after you've spent that time than you did when you first walked into the room. That's not him. He adds value, he adds energy to the relationships and to people that he meets.
I think LaSalle gave him a sense of work ethic and self-sufficiency that's he's carried with himself since the day he graduated in 1968. I'm an attorney as well, and I still say he's the most impressive attorney I've ever worked with, and I think a lot of that has to do with some of the values he learned here at LaSalle.
Everybody's first word from my dad, or their pops as they call him, is generous. And I think that is probably the biggest word that describes my dad, or maybe the best in all areas of his life. So generous in spirit, generous in resources, generous in time, probably most of all. I had devoted also, and he's devoted to his family and his friends and his high school and tradition. He's a traditionalist, and in a really positive way, honors traditions of our family and really sort of focuses our children and us on why those are important. My last was hopeful because my dad is full of hope. He, even in harder times in our family's endured some of those, he's always full of hope.
He's taught me how to be, a son, a father, a sibling, an athlete, LaSalle student and alum, to the point where there was no doubt that my brother JP and I both wanted to come to LaSalle based on hearing his stories and the friendships he made. And now I have a son who's a sophomore here and one who's in 8th grade who's going to be a freshman next year, and all of that due to the impact LaSalle had on him.
As a person, he is just so thoughtful. And I even noticed that, in high school, most people talk and don't really listen. And John was really the other way around. He really listened, and then when he had something to say, he would say, well, you made this point earlier. Can we go back and talk about that? And I think as a professional lawyer, as a father, as a classmate, and everything he did for LaSalle, that's the one quality I think that would lead to me to believe that he's been so successful. Is he listens and he thinks about what he's going to say before he says it.
We all have acquaintances, we all have friends, but when it gets down to it, if you have one or two or maybe three, what I refer to as go-to people in your life, where you can have a situation or an issue and you can explain it to him or that person, and that person's role, whether they think they can do anything about it or not, will take it from your shoulders and put it on theirs. And that's my definition of a go-to person, and John absolutely fits that description.